This is a story about two countries and some of the biggest challenges of our time. New Zealand and Chile are far apart, but they have a lot in common. They have incredible landscapes and large agricultural economies. But unfortunately, they both also have a lot of threatened biodiversity. Human life is supported by biodiversity. Everything we have comes from it. But current agricultural practices have intensified production, and climate change is causing more extreme weather. This is bad for biodiversity and ecosystem health, making it harder for our farmers to grow food. So how do we become more resilient? Well, one way is to try and restore biodiversity, which New Zealand and Chile have done quite differently. In New Zealand, a land sparing approach is common. Intensive farming and conservation are designated into separate spaces. For example, the QE2 National Trust works with farmers to set aside small parts of land for reforestation. In contrast, Chilean agriculture has traditional land sharing approaches, which favour conservation and farming in the same space. Known as agroecology, it has strong links with indigenous agriculture that became popularised in the early 1980s. But while some small farms use agroecology, most large farms continue to use harmful industrial practices. So, despite these two countries' different approaches, biodiversity continues to plummet in both places. With a changing climate, we need diversity. Both land sparing and land sharing are crucial for biodiversity, but we also need farms that have a greater economic and social resilience. Farms of the future must be able to deal with changes that will happen in our societies and ecosystems as they adapt to climate change. And, luckily for us, there are already some pioneering people doing just that. In New Zealand, one example is Quorum Sense. Quorum Sense is providing grassroots education and support on how to farm regeneratively with biodiversity, while also creating better outcomes for farmers' profit and well-being. In Chile, the Education and Technology Centre is an NGO that since the 1980s has been promoting agroecological practices amongst small farmers, enhancing their self-sufficiency and food sustainability. Whether it's big organisations or small-scale farms, creating a healthy future is a team effort. Countries like Chile and New Zealand can learn from each other, and diversity is a tool against climate change that will be key to improving food security and saving biodiversity so we can tackle the world's challenges together. The key is that diversity equals resilience.